good than that. That was the first American bite. That was about a 3-pounder. Big old fat spot.
Yeah.
Good on
Good on it.
this spot. I bet this spot was. Better start flipping crankbait or take this spinnerbait and I'll throw a crankbait little thing.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're not in the office, we're out in the shop getting some stuff ready for the boat. Actually getting ready to work on these bad boys. Find them here. Updates, dreaded updates on all the graphs. If you have Humminbird Electronics, Lowrance, Garmin, all of them at some point will need to be updated. And I just sent back my Helix 12 on the bow. Was having some issues with it. Sent it back a couple weeks ago. Just got it back yesterday and getting ready to put it back on the front of the boat and make sure that it's working properly. So, went down to the river last weekend. Ohio River, fishing one of the tributaries off the river. And I was really struggling to locate fish and just not getting a lot of bites. And it's the water temperature's perfect. There's a lot of bait in the creeks right now. The backwaters are stable. The watercolor looks great and the fish should be getting ready to pop. I mean, they should be biting like crazy right now and feeding up for that kind of, you know, pre-spawn deal here. And that's not the case, or at least wasn't the case. And I just wanted to pass this little tip trick. If you are an experienced bass fisherman, you already know this. But you know, hey, if you've tuned into the channel and you're not an experienced fisherman, that's okay. That's okay. We want to try to teach you some of the things that we have learned and some things that other people have learned that have shared it with me. I want to try to help teach you as much as I can about the most intimidating part about the fishing for bass, which is breaking down the body of water that you're on to find the areas that will help you be more successful. It's not as easy as just going down the bank and casting and catching fish. Can you do that? Yes. But you could go a long time between bites. And you may not catch good quality. You may not catch very many. So we have learned little tricks and little things that we can use to help us be more efficient on the water. And I especially use these when I'm practicing for a tournament or during a tournament. A lot of times when I'm in scramble mode. So after spending all day on the water, 6-7 hours, hardly a bite. Seeing fish on my Mega Live, not getting any fish to bite, and just really having a rough go of it. I kind of fell back on one of my primary, I want to say backup plan, but it's good all year, but during the pre-spawn is when it shines. And that is fishing choke points and pinch points. So a pinch point is exactly what it sounds like. Basically an area that kind of pinches down or chokes down to where the fish have smaller distances where they can be. So if they're in that general area, they're going to be narrowed down to a smaller path, so to speak. What that is going to be for me, traditionally speaking, is going to be bridges. Those are areas where fish have to make that squeeze if they're wanting to go to the back of a creek or vice versa. If they're on their way back out, they have to go through that bridge opening. So fish will congregate in these areas year-round. So you're going to have resident fish that live around that bridge, that causeway. They're there for the riprap, cover, the bait fish, the bluegill, all the things that congregate around those man-made structures, like the bridge piers, columns, those kinds of things. And there are going to be fish that live there year-round. So one great thing about that is you have fish that not only are there year-round, but then you have transient fish that are moving from one part of the lake to another part of the lake through that squeeze. So that is what I tried to do. When I was struggling, I was like, look, I got to find an area where I have a pinch point. It just so happens one of the pinch points is where two creeks come together. And right there at that pinch point is a bridge. And it took me all day to figure that out, that a lot of those fish were grouped up in that area. When I fish these choke points in the pre-spawn, I'm traditionally going to fish them pretty quick. I'm trying to cover a lot of water, cover a lot of those little choke points in a day. So I'm going to pick up, something like a bladed jig. This is a Hog Stalker Jig Rumble Pig, 3/8 ounce in a seductive shad color is what we call that, white chartreuse. I put a Zoom Z-Crawl trailer on the back of that. Also a Southern Indiana Bait Company Chew and Crawl in pearl white is really good as well. I'm going to throw that thing out there, and depending upon the water temperature, of course, and time of year, I'm going to keep that bait moving, trying to cover a lot of water. When I get a bite, I'm going to note it, keep fishing. And when I get to an area where I catch a couple or get a couple bites, that's when I'm going to slow down and kind of start to pick it apart and figure out, are they on the bridge pillars themselves? Are they on the corners of the riprap around the bridge? Are they, 50 yards down the bank on each side of the bridge? They could be here, there, and everywhere, but you can typically narrow it down to a general area around those choke points to help you catch more fish. When I do slow down, that's when I'm typically going to go to my tried and true, and I'm going to pick up just a stick bait, a Southern Indiana Outdoor stick bait, 5-inch, or a Yum Dinger, whatever you want to throw. Zoom Zlinky, I believe that's what it's called, Zlinky, or of course a Yamamoto Senko. Nico rigged, nail weight in the nose, rigged midsection with an open Nico hook 1/0. And I'm going to slow down with this bad boy. Why this versus a flipping rig like this? For me, it's just a finesse approach. This gets me the bites. So on a tough day, when they won't look at that, they're going to eat this 9 times out of 10. Now, choke points are not just narrowed down to bridges. Bass movement and deer movement are, there's a lot of parallels there. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, land creature, aquatic creature, but there are a lot of parallels. And what I have learned about bass movement is they take the path of least resistance, and so do deer. So a big buck, whenever he's running a ridge, he's taking the path of least resistance. Now, he's not going to be far from thicker cover. So wherever the thickest part of that woods is, that's closer, to that connecting ridge, that's where he's going to run. That's where he's going to be cruising, moving around, whether it's early season when he's on a food pattern or whenever they're, during the rut. That's the kind of stuff that they like to use. Bass are no different. Path of least resistance, close to cover. For them, it's either close to grass or deep water access. That's their safe haven. So for bass, another pinch point could be topographical, meaning it could be where you have a long bar that goes out and meets a creek channel. And between the end of that long bar and the end of that drop off to the creek channel, you're going to have a small section of flat there. And that could be an area where those fish kind of have to work their way around, and that creates an inside corner or a pinch point. It could be from behind a boat dock, marina, for instance. Some of these fish that could be between the bank and a marina in a narrower area. Not to say they can't swim under the marina, they can, but they tend to follow hard lines, just like a deer will get up against a fence row and run a fence row out instead of jumping the fence. You would think, oh, they'll just jump the fence. They'll follow that fence row out and follow the path of least resistance. A bass will do the same thing. They follow those hard lines when they're making their moves. So those are some other areas that you can look at. When you're on the water, look for those key areas. They are going to be community holes. They are going to be areas that get fished a lot, but there's a reason for that. They produce day in and day out. Now, are they going to be a sneaky little spot you're going to catch a big bag of bass and win your local derb? Probably not. But can it put an extra fish in the live well during a tournament when you're struggling? Absolutely, absolutely. Now, to the guys, like I said, that bass fish all the time, no brainer. But this is more derived for the newer people to the channel, and maybe guys that don't do a lot of bass fishing that want to learn more about it. So that being said, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share it with your buddies. Help us grow the channel. We greatly appreciate you all taking the time to click on our video today. It means a lot to us. It's a project of passion. We don't make a dime doing this, but it's a really cool way for us to help teach and also help promote some of our products. And then also, it's a great way for me and my family to log some of our adventures and fishing trips and things that we've went on that we can go back and look at 10 years down the road and be able to remember that. So we are thankful to bring you guys along for that as well. You all have a great week. We will see you on the water. I'm going to go sling some big ones over the side of the old Skeeter this weekend, and I hope you all can get out and do the same.